It is time to get this ring expanded. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here today. It is December 6th, 2020. Got a beautiful fall morning here this morning. It was a little chilly to start. Going to be a beautiful day today, about 70 degrees. So Lori and I are going to do a little bit of harder labor today. So we've been talking a little bit about irrigation, and that's mainly because we're going to be expanding the irrigation that we have run to the existing fruit trees and then the expansion that we're going to be doing here in the winter and spring of 2021. Now, part of that expansion is dealing with trees that have been in the ground for about a year and trees that are brand new, and there's a little bit of a difference as far as how you need to water each types of tree. So what you see here is you see one of our pear trees. Now this is more of a vertical growing tree. However, we know that the roots have expanded out. Now to start, this ring was basically right around this area here in a circle around this tree, which is exactly what we needed to do for a brand new tree from a pot. Because we want to encourage the root growth out, we needed to start the water closer. When we did that, we had our irrigation bubbler right here about 5 feet from the trunk of the tree. We created an irrigation channel that ran to the smaller ring here in the tree and watered this for that first year. Now what we're having to deal with is this tree growing larger, putting its roots out further, and we want to encourage that. What we need to do at this point is expand the ring where we're actually doing the irrigation. This whole area here has trees that have been planted for a year. What you can't see behind Lori is empty space where there are no trees, but we will have newly planted trees come a month or two from now when we get our bare root trees in. So the challenge we have is we're going to have to water those trees up close and these trees here a little further out. Now we've already designed something, and I'll link a video here where we talked a little bit about how we're dealing with some of the older trees versus some of the newer trees and allowing us to water nice and heavy for the larger rings while also maintaining the irrigation to newer planted trees that need to be watered closer. So what you're going to watch today is us basically expanding this so that we can allow this tree that's now 1 year old to continue to grow its roots out and then of course push that growth up. Our trusty tool for today is right over here. This is our Sun Joe tiller. So we've had this now for a few years. We've just put this thing through the ringer. It works fantastic in this harder soil to break up the first few inches, which is going to allow us to pull the dirt back. It is electric, so we've had to run a couple of extension cords, which I'm sure is against some type of electrical code or law, but it doesn't make a difference. We needed it is in order to get this accomplished and not kill ourselves digging into the hard dirt. But we're going to use this to start and then expand the ring out. So we're going to go ahead and get to work on this first pear tree. We'll come back to you and kind of show you what we're doing and what we need to do next. You'll get a general idea now of just how far out we want these tree roots to expand so this tree can continue to grow. A couple things that we had to do: we had to close off the inner ring so that we don't have water going into the inside of the tree. We don't want that happening any longer. Now keep in mind, you still have a swale here and two berms. You have a berm on this side and you have a berm on that side. The way that swale and berm system works is the water will leach from the swale into the berm. So in other words, the water is going to go in towards the tree, and it'll also penetrate in towards the tree, and it'll also penetrate out to continue to allow the roots to expand out this way and beyond the ring that we have established for it now. So I think we're done with this one. We obviously need to come back in and fill this with wood chips, but before we do that, we need to get to the rest of the trees here on this same irrigation line. I wanted to stop for a minute because I need to point something out. We talk a lot on here about some of the, I guess you can call them tips and tricks that we use to grow nice, big, beautiful fruit trees. I'm gonna have Lori drawn a little bit closer so you guys can see this up close. Now, fig trees grow very aggressively. I'm not surprised to see this. All of these here, these are feeder roots that are coming out from the tree. You can see we have some in here, have some coming out here. So lots and lots of feeder roots. Now remember, our channel, our water channel was coming right in through here. You can see how much more moisture we have in the soil right around this channel, because again, that's a swale and it's a berm. And as much as it seemed dry out here, it wasn't, because that berm was allowing water to penetrate. It was sitting in the swale and it was penetrating out into the dirt. And you can see we have a lot of root growth right in here around this channel. And this is where the tree is growing and trying to feed. Now let's look at the backside. Back here you can see it's completely different. It's very, very dry, and I don't have any of that root growth. I can see some here where we got closer to where the backside of the berm was. Back here I've got some here as well, again, moist soil. So I have some feeder roots, but for the most part, I'm just dealing with our normal, nasty, dry dirt that we have in Arizona, and you'll see, drastically different. This tree cannot grow into this. So as you're looking at the areas that you're gonna be having your fruit trees in, remember that, especially here in Arizona, number one, you have to figure out your irrigation, and you wanna make sure you're always encouraging the tree to grow out and away from the trunk. That's the only thing that's gonna allow your trees to grow nice and big and healthy, is they need to be able to penetrate into the soil, and that requires moisture. So you can see exactly what's going on down underneath the ground when it comes to the irrigation rings that we put in. So keep that in mind as you see these trees get big. It's not a trick. What it narrows down to is, yeah, you can do a few things that'll help encourage it. Yes, pruning makes a difference. Fruit thinning makes a difference. All that stuff does. But the key to a nice, big, beautiful tree that is a good, strong producer for you is allowing those feeder roots to grow out from the tree to give that tree some space. So we actually did have a chance to show you guys what I was talking about. This is a newer planting. So this tree is our Olympia fig. I think I got this one in September or October. It might have been October, I can't remember exactly, but it's only been in the ground for a couple of months. So this is a new planting. You'll see we kept the channel here in the middle, so that's that low spot, which is gonna allow water to feed into the center part of the internal ring. And then as that backs up, it'll overflow the spillway here and go into our outer ring to encourage that root growth out. Now, as far as encouraging root growth out, one of the things we've been talking about is that swale and the berm, and I showed you the feeder root growth on the established trees that are going on a year old. They're actually about 9 months old. We came across something on this one that actually even surprised Lori and I after about 2 months in the ground. One of the things we did with this tree is put a heavy, heavy layer of wood chip mulch around the outer side of the ring. And what we came across right here is feeder roots. Those white roots right there are actually feeder roots from that fig tree. So after a couple of months, this tree is already growing out into the berm and trying to establish itself out here. I really kind of geek out on stuff like that because I love growing fruit trees, but to see that after a couple months, man, that makes me excited for this little fig tree and just reinforces what we need to do next, and that would be wood chips. Lots and lots of wood chips. This will give you an idea of what it's gonna look like in the end. We were watering these about once a week for about 30 minutes. That will change pretty drastically. Now that we have these larger outer rings, and this one has that spillway in it, we'll water this for a couple hours, probably once a week. We're staying consistently dry, so unless we get a nice rainstorm, we'll water these for a couple hours once a week. Now, gotta remember, usually during the wintertime, you would drastically reduce that water, and we have reduced it. However, not only are we still watering because these will continue to grow roots, we're establishing soil. So I want to continue to have these wood chips breaking down around that tree. Another reason why we continue to water here on the farm, especially in these early stages of establishing these fruit trees. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or comments, hey, leave those in the comment section down below. And our Amazon shop, that's a free way to help support the channel. If you start with a link down below, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you.